Hey everyone, it's Jen, and this is Spirited Saturdays, and this week we're talking about things we've learned from having an eating disorder. So there's so many things. I don't know where to begin. I didn't plan this out, but I could probably just kind of go through like different parts of my day and kind of look at life now and what that feels like as opposed to the same point of the day several years ago and can find something in there that I've learned. I guess, for example, I've learned not to take things for granted um, to an extent. I mean, there's always more to learn with that, but um, just not to take enjoying my food for granted. Um, because before I had an eating disorder, I don't really think I thought that much about the experience of food. I don't think I was really focused on mindfulness when it came to eating. So I've learned to appreciate the food that I'm eating, and I try to practice that as much as possible. Um, Being recovered has also given me the opportunity to connect with other people who appreciate what they're eating because now I draw those people into my life and I'm drawn into their lives. So it gives me more opportunities to appreciate the food that I'm eating and appreciate the experience of eating and the social dynamic around eating. It definitely gives me a chance to feel the balance between eating and talking and just being present in general with the people that I'm with, or if I'm by myself, being present with myself and my food. So, yeah, I've learned not to take that for granted, not to take the experience of eating for granted, because it really represents how you take your food in. I think represents to a large degree how you approach life in general because it's so core to our well-being and our livelihood that I think it is a pretty telling representation of how you might approach the rest of your life. So I try to extend that same mindfulness outward. It's a that's another thing I've learned throughout recovery is that it's all a process. There's no such, there's really no trying to reach perfection with it. So whatever I can do with it, as long as I'm a little bit conscious of that every day, I find that's a good thing. Um, Having an eating disorder and recovering from one um, did help me learn to focus on the good things, the positive things, the accomplishments in recovery. So I try to extend that outward toward the rest of my life and practice gratitude for just the good things and really shift my focus toward those good things and focus on them. And in doing that, I've learned actually that focusing on them perpetuates them and builds on them. So recovery has really given me the opportunity to allow that to take hold. That something that would have been severely constricted in the eating disorder. So it's given me that chance and it's allowed me to learn to see that it does happen if I allow it and don't just run away from things that could be positive because they're scary. That's another thing that recovery has taught me, to stay with the positive, to not shut down at the prospect of something good happening because that had been a real pattern in my life. I also have learned to see the good in others and to offer support in a way that is sustainable because I can be because I'm healthy. So, so in that way, I've been able to connect with others and give and take. Another thing that recovery has taught me and continues to teach me is that things are not so black and white. Something I've struggled with for a very long time, and I'm pretty sure one of the characteristics that played into my eating disorder and played out in my eating disorder, um, this black and white thinking. And I'm currently learning, still, and that there are so many different facets to people, and that one facet does not define a person. Just like an eating disorder doesn't define a person, although that's kind of a different way. That's a little different, but like one aspect of a person's personality does not make this person good or bad. Does not make this person someone I want in my life or someone I don't want in my life. There is so much gray, and there's so much people are so complex, and they have stories, and they have um, there's so much that they can offer, and just something that I have, you know, been very vulnerable to my whole life is thinking that as soon as a person demonstrates a less than appealing quality or something that I find um, that I have a negative response to, I tend to say that that person is, that I tend to overgeneralize that, so I'm learning to see things in the bigger picture, see people as a bigger picture, as a broader picture is more complex, and as a whole, see people holistically, and I'm learning to see life as a whole, and see the bigger picture in life in general. So, and in myself, I think that, if you extend that outward, you mirror that in yourself. So, I don't know, it could work both ways. You practice it in yourself, and then you can apply it outward. But I'm learning to see myself as multifaceted and just not defined by one particular thing that I have said or done, or something that has happened to me, or happen. That doesn't sound right. Something that things that happen to me don't define me. Like, for example, I thought being bullied defined me because that meant that I was weak or bad, or just just not worthy, and that's not true. So, so things that happen don't define you, and things that you do don't necessarily define you, and that you are allowed. Like, I've practiced a lot of like self-forgiveness in recovery, and forgiveness of others, which I'm still working on a little bit, but yeah, so I think I've learned to apply that to myself to some degree, and it continues. It's a process, and apply it outward. So, and practice compassion. I think that's like a huge part of it. Compassion and gratitude have been a huge part of my recovery, and just recreating a life for myself. So, yeah, I think that is it for today. And I hope this helped. And any questions or anything at all, let me know, and I'll see you next time. Okay, thanks. Bye.